Hello, fellow internet travelers. Welcome back to Mark Reed Atheism. I am Mark Reed. I am going to be hosting this absolute travesty of a show where we are going into, was God an a-hole? Was he an absolute clown? Was he evil? Or maybe he just didn't exist. Who knows? Who knows? It's not up for me to decide. It's up for you to decide here on another installment of Is God the a-hole? Do you want to vote? We're doing votes later on. We're doing votes where we are bowing to the will of the public and giving everybody a voice in the eternal question: was God an a-hole? And today we're up to Exodus 5 and 6, I believe. So let me find them because I am a bit muddled. And it's great to see you all here. Left-handed Jedi, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. It's great to see you. I do apologize if I'm still getting over this cold. I'm still a bit bunged up, so I do apologize if I'm a bit off, a bit insane, a bit, a bit outraged, a bit, you know how it is. You're getting over it. Stop this stupidity with 10 readerships. Thank you so much, STS. I'll wait till they roll in, and one will inevitably be missing because apparently Google hates my audience and me specifically, apparently. But we'll wait till they roll in. See if we got the numbers there. I think that actually brings us to another emoji. So let me know what you want. I probably will put a placeholder in because I learnt from Ember that you can sort of put a placeholder in, so we sort of have that bookmarked for what I decide that I'm going to put in there. I mean, it can be anything, really. It can be anything. Well, I mean, anything that's not going to get my YouTube cancelled is probably a good idea. Oh, some good hits in there too. Oh, some really good hits. Well done. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow. The YouTube gods smile upon us. The burning bush of YouTube has counted accurately. It's a miracle. It's a miracle. Stop the stupid. It's a miracle. A Christmas miracle. Not Christmas, but okay. A random day in August. Miracle. Beautiful. You love to see it. You love to see it. So I'm just going to get warmed up. As I said, I'm still getting over a cold, so please excuse me if I am more nasally, I guess. I mean, part of it will be the Australian accent. You've got to understand this. But if I am more nasally, I do apologise. Just 1 second, and I'll do this in my usual voice, as tradition dictates, because we are all traditionalists here. Admit it. That's good coffee. And those going out to Ian Chen, Official, Jason Hyatt, My Unfinished Sock, Neck to at Night, Lyra, Pants on Fire. That is beautiful. Okay, that's right up there with Titan Uranus. Lyra, Pants on Fire. Damn, that's good. Reckon Navy. Nikki Wayne High. I believe that's Nikki Swain High. Jared Speaks. Kirsten Mills and Bent Up. Winners chicken dinners. Please enjoy your emotes and other privileges, you privileged people. Love to see it. Love to see it. I'll just get my emojis going. Damn, that's a nice lot of emojis, and thank you so much, STS. You just made my day brighter. I've just gotten up. And it is amazing. Oh no, thank you, sir. You are a scholar and a saint, and you make the channel what it is, along with all you other internet citizens, you netizens, I believe they're called. They're netizens from you internet citizens from another mother. Hey Tommy, good to see you, mate. Noise in the house. Make some frigging noise. Absolutely. You know what? If you ever do a show, that's what I want to see, my friend. Make some noise. Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, if there's one thing I can kind of do, it is come up with names. Hey, Kelly, good to see you. Good to see you here. Phantom Champion. Absolutely great to see you, mate. Yeah, some damn good chat today. Wow. Okay, thanks everybody. Stream Elements is running a bot. What? Who authorized that? Hey, take out the ban hammer, everybody. There's a clanker. There's a clanker in the chat. All right, I'm going to allow it tentatively. Look, I did not start up Stream Elements this morning. This is kind of wacky. This is kind of wacky, to be honest with you. I don't know why I don't know how this clanker got in my chat. I have no idea. Oh, look, noise. Neither did I, mate. Neither did I, and here we are, right? Neither did I, and here we are. So, yeah, you'd be surprised, actually, what people are prepared, what the nonsense people are prepared to put up with. As all you people, you know, you're doing the Lord's work, putting up with my nonsense. But anyway, open your Bible to Exodus 5. I know you've all got your Bibles proudly displayed in a plinth at your front door to remind everybody what good God-fearing people you definitely are. So please open your Bible to Exodus 5. I do apologize, everybody. This one might not. I've sort of got to get through this one because I've got a doctor's appointment afterwards, and I'm very cognizant of I do have a doctor's appointment afterwards. You know what? Things are getting on top of me. I won't lie. Wow. You know, and it reminds me, I shouldn't be ungrateful for a doctor's appointment, right? I should be like, oh, a doctor's appointment isn't healthcare great. It doesn't feel that way sometimes. I totally get you. Oh, your show. Yes, I have seen your show. There's nothing wrong with your show. Your show's great. Your show has more tangents than mine does, and that's wild, Tommy. That's wild, and I'm here for it, mate. I'm here for it. Again, Am I the a-hole is the subreddit, of course, and I am Yahweh again because it's all about the Yahweh. Just the entire book, just it's Yahweh. It's just, you know, everything's about that dude. You know, I think that Yahweh would be elected as person or God most possessing main character syndrome. 100%. I gotta say. Yeah, no, wrong side of the continent, Phantom. Wrong side of the continent, mate. But nice choice. Was I wrong for making slavery significantly worse after promising to rescue my people? Yeah, probably. So this is what I don't understand. Why not just rescue them? Like, why do you need to go through this entire debacle with Moses and the burning bush and Aaron and, you know, this entire thing? Why go through it all? Like, why is it a thing that you've got to delegate at all? I don't understand. It's kind of weird. Anyway. So I sent this messenger called Moses back to Egypt with his brother Aaron, and they went straight to the Pharaoh to deliver the message I'd given them. Moses wasn't thrilled, but that he was press-ganged into returning to Egypt, but hey, at least I let him live. And this is a reference for last week, if you were with us. Aaron, like, God was about to kill Moses on the way back, but there was a foreskin-based intervention. I never thought I would say those words to an audience online, but there was a foreskin-based intervention where God relented and let Moses live. What a guy. What a generous man, right? He actually let him live because of some foreskins thrown around the place. That was wild, but hey, Right. Moses basically told Pharaoh, "This is what Yahweh, the God of Israel, says. Let my people go so they can hold a festival for me in the wilderness." Pretty reasonable request in my opinion, considering these people had been enslaved for generations. So yeah, the original request was not let my people go out of slavery. The original request was, hey, dude, could you please let them go and have a bush a bush doof? Do you guys know what a doof is? So electronic music we call doof because it goes doof 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 doof, right? Like that's electronic music to Australians. Okay, it's called doof because it goes doof 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 doof, right? That's why it's called that. So a bush doof is a rave in the countryside, I guess, or in the forest of Australia, which is the bush. Now, I know what you're thinking, all right? I know what you're thinking. Why do we call it the bush if it is multiple trees? Don't ask that question. Get out of here, okay? Don't ask. It's one of those ineffable mysteries that will never be answered. It's just called the bush, okay? It's a singular. Don't get your plural rural areas to me. It is just the bush, okay? The singular bush. That's what it is, okay? So yeah, so basically he said, hey, let my people have a bush doof. Let them go, let them party up, mate. Let them go have a festival. Pharaoh's response was essentially, who is Yahweh and why should I listen to him? Yeah, that's a fair question. Why the Egyptian ruler would have heard about Yahweh is completely beyond me. I don't know why Moses went up to him like, oh, Yahweh says this. And he's like, excuse me? I know about Thoth, and I know about Amit, and I know about Bast, everyone's favorite, Bast, the goddess of cats. And thanks to Moon Knight, we know about Khonshu, right? Like all of these Egyptian gods, and they're going, hey, Yahweh says. And he's like, sorry? Who? I've never met a Yahweh. Okay. Wow. I guess I could have sent a flyer or something out of Moses, but I kind of left him and Aaron to explain it. They really just said they needed to make a trip to the wilderness or the bush, or else I was going to send plagues or something. Okay, instead of actually relenting, Pharaoh decided that the Israelites must simply have too much free time if they were asking to go and worship me. Man, the Pharaoh sounds just like a manager I used to have, right? Oh, I need some time off. Well, if you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean, right? You ever met a guy like that? Yeah, I'm getting burnt out in my job. I really need some time off. Well, then you've got time to do more work. I'm sorry. Does the description of burnout just make no sense to you? Look, I gotta say, I am very in favour of the labour laws here in the Australia, or the bush, maybe. It kind of is like they recognise that you should have a right to disconnect from your job, and there was a saying that you were lumberged, right? Has anyone heard that? That's like there was a movie called Office Space. And it's when the boss comes to you and goes, yeah, I'm going to have to get you to come in on Saturday, and they kind of pressure you into working when you're not scheduled for working. And there's actually, they've done laws against that kind of thing, like being pressured into working. I like it. I think it's a good change. I think it's a good change. Yeah. Instead of actually, he said the workload. So we ordered their workload increased. Damn. Yes, the Pharaoh lumberged the Israelites. Yeah, I'm going to have to get you to, I don't know, work some more. Yeah, I'm going to have to go ahead and ask you to come in on Saturdays, Israelites. I know that's your holy day, but, we're going to have a high workload that day, so I'm going to have to just get you to come in that day. Okay, thanks. Previously, the Egyptians had provided Israelites with straw for making bricks, and now Pharaoh told them to collect their own straw while still producing the same number of bricks every day. Man, I hate it when that happens. So not only has Pharaoh decided to up their hours, he has also cut back on the materials. Damn, that is bad management, sir. Bad management. Look, and I'll be the first to admit, Pharaoh was a bad manager. Okay, that is unreasonable. I'm with them on this one, but I think that going to Pharaoh and sort of saying, "Hey, Yahweh says," when he's never heard of Yahweh, is probably not the best move. I think maybe a general strike would probably do a lot better. It would probably be a lot, a lot more bloody and stuff, but it would probably do better than this. Just saying, "Hey, my foreign god wants you to do X, Y, and Z." Ugh. When the Israelites couldn't meet the quota, the Egyptian overseers beat them, which didn't seem very fair to me, but I didn't actually do anything to stop it from happening. Yeah, so here we go. You could expect a god, Yahweh, to be able to stop this instantly, or, just let them experience your power in some way, but he didn't actually do anything at this point. Okay, it's going to get worse before it gets better, and that apparently is by design. Okay, so God is not just, well, I'm going to let them beat my people. He's also kind of, well, I want them to do that so I can show how powerful I am, which is just ridiculous. That is ridiculous. The Israelite foreman eventually went to Pharaoh and begged him to reconsider. They pointed out that the impossible workload was making them look like failures, and even though the Egyptians had deliberately made the job harder. Yeah. Pharaoh basically told them they were lazy, blaming the Israelites. So when the foreman left the Pharaoh's palace and realized that they were in serious trouble, they confronted Moses and Aaron, blaming them for making the situation worse. Which they absolutely did. They absolutely did. I think that, so you look at places that have sort of overthrown incredibly brutal regimes. I'm not an advocate of violence, but we know that Gandhi did it with almost no violence whatsoever. He just refused to work. And the British Empire took really harsh treatment of him, but there wasn't a lot they could do because they kind of needed those people. Now, this might be a different situation. In fact, we know that it didn't happen at all, but you may do a lot more with a strike than violent uprising. Just food for thought. Food for thought. General strikes will generally bring a country to its knees. Moses had arrived saying I was going to rescue them and set them free, but instead, almost immediately after he appeared, their working conditions became significantly more brutal. Moses then started to complain to me directly, basically saying, "Ever since I went to the Pharaoh to speak in your name, things have gotten so much worse and you haven't rescued your people at all." Yeah. So I felt kind of awkward because he was absolutely right. And he is right. Moses at this point is right because God said, "Go to Pharaoh, demand he let my people go, and rescue your people." And Moses went, did exactly what he wanted, and nothing happened except things got worse. It's pretty clear that God is not filling Moses in on the details. He's sort of telling him, "Hey, you will go and do this and this will happen." But he's sort of explaining the plan as A to F, and not including the steps B, C, E, F, B, C, B, C, D, E at all, right? Like there's some intervening steps in there involving a whole load of whips and beatings and, you know, bad stuff happening. Like, why would you not tell somebody ahead of time is really what I'm complaining about. If you have a plan, why would you only, like, this isn't a plan. He's not telling him the plan. This is sort of when you see a movie and they're like, oh, this is the plan. You go to the Pharaoh and release our people. That's a goal. That isn't a plan. Okay, that's just, that's a goal. Okay, there's a plan under here somewhere. But Moses does not know what it is. So he really comes off looking like an idiot because he doesn't know the plan. Nobody knows the plan. Apparently. I knew the Pharaoh would resist, and I had already told Moses that. I had even told him that I would harden the Pharaoh's heart. But apparently, Moses had forgotten that already. And yeah, this is kind of weird as well, because he said in the previous chapter that he would harden Pharaoh's heart and make him not release the Jews. It's really weird. It's really strange, right? That, like, he's basically setting Moses up to fail intentionally. So am I the arsehole for sending Moses to demand freedom from Pharaoh, even though I knew Pharaoh would retaliate against the Israelites, resulting in their suffering becoming significantly worse before I eventually stepped in? Now, me personally, I would argue, abso-freaking-lutely, like, seriously, what are you doing? There's a whole load of this from Yahweh, and, you know, if Jesus is the God now, then Jesus. The whole entity, right? God wants you to believe, but he basically says, blessed are those who believe without evidence, kind of thing. Like, if he wants you to believe, he should provide some evidence or provide something. Like, so does he actually want you to believe? God has this habit of declaring he wants something and then working against that want, right? Working against the outcome, which doesn't seem too omniscient to me. For somebody that is all-knowing, that's a bit weird. It's a bit weird. Was God right for making things worse for the Israelites? And I will get your responses, so feel free to vote however your conscience tells you. I will be going through the comments as per usual because I can't stay away from them. You gotta love them. You gotta love them. Or hate them. I don't know. I'm a bit of both sometimes. But I'd love for someone to explain this. Like, you know, why make things so convoluted, so, like, you know, it kind of is just, I wonder who he's torturing at this point. Like, is he torturing the Pharaoh and the Egyptians? Or is he torturing the poor Israelites? Like, who is actually getting the short end of the stick here? You know, is he torturing Moses and Aaron? Because they're basically going in, telling all the Israelites that they've come to save them and how they're going to do it, and then completely and utterly failing miserably. It ain't a great look for them. It's not a great look for them. It really isn't. But I'll have a look at the comments. Feel free to vote however you want. I'd make noise. Absolutely. Absolutely. Cancel bots. Look, I know that, look, the StreamYard's bot is just a bot, right? There's bots and then there's AI, and I get you. Like, somebody actually showed the limitations of language models. Have you ever seen that sort of, it's like a logic problem, right? There's this logic problem that goes something like a surgeon and his son are driving in a car, and they're involved in a horrible car accident where, a father and his son are driving in a car. The car is involved in a horrible car accident. The father dies, but the son is critically injured, but survived and rushed to the hospital. The surgeon that is operating on the son sees this boy and says, I can't operate on this boy. That boy is my son. Right? There's this logical puzzle, and so how is this possible? Right? So basically that's it's a very old sort of logic problem, and the answer is the surgeon is the boy's mother, right? Like, there's this inclination of the way that we're raised to think surgeon equals man, right? Whereas it's quite possible there are some other answers that are just as applicable, right? That the surgeon is the stepfather, or the surgeon is the biological father, and the other is, there's a few different answers. Okay, it's just one of those things to examine how you think, right? But this has been told as the surgeon is your mother for so long on the internet that when they train these language models, the thing that I saw, it picked up, like, they basically reversed it. Right? They basically said, "Oh, the car crash is exactly the same, and the mother dies in it, right?" And they basically said, because the mother died, the father. The surgeon goes to operate on the boy. And they actually pointed out the surgeon is the father, right? And the surgeon says, "I can't operate on this boy. That boy is my son," right? Perfectly logical, right? Like, it makes absolute sense. They even pointed out that the surgeon was the father, and the mother died in the crash. And the language model came back with, "Oh, the surgeon is the boy's mother," right? Because all it does is it doesn't actually use logic. All it does is just learn based upon previous response. So because that example kept coming back in the way that the AI learnt, that's the response that it gives, because that's the one it determines to be correct. It doesn't actually think through things, and I thought it was a perfect demonstration of the problem with it. Hasn't stopped you coming up with ideas? Absolutely. Absolutely. And Dr. Kip's show? Look, I love to see Dr. Kip's show whenever I can. It's just he seems to run it at very inconvenient times. How dare he? How dare he? No, you're fine. You're fine. Arm wrestling. Oh, look, Jedi. Those videos of people handling blue-ringed octopuses, and the thing you've got to understand about them is if you see the blue rings on an octopus, they are pissed. Okay, they are really angry. So anytime you see somebody handling a blue-ringed octopus, not only are they handling one of the most venomous animals in the world, it's also really pissed off. Like, those rings basically appear when they're warning you that this thing is about to kill something. It's absolutely horrible. Hey, Victoria, good to see you. All Kip have left is your feet. Are we doing OnlyFans or something? What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Well, lucky God doesn't hate 5 skins. Well, I mean, I have no idea. Maybe he does. I know I would. Look, I gotta say, if somebody cut off a foreskin and threw it at me, I would seriously think twice about tangling with that person too. I got to admit, but I would probably be like getting the police as soon as possible, because that is ridiculous. That was ridiculous. Original request was to say, hey, Hebrews, go to Egypt to be enslaved to begin with. You're not wrong. That was sort of, so the reason why the Israelites, to be more accurate, the Israelites were in Egypt was because God sent a famine down in the first place. Okay, and they didn't have enough food, so they had to go to Egypt. And that was the whole Joseph saga, right? That was the whole Joseph saga. Now, apparently it was just Jacob's family that went, right? Like it was just Jacob's family. So Joseph and his brothers and, you know, their extended family and household kind of thing. That's the only people that went there. Apparently, you know, a few generations later, you have so many people that the entire nation is enslaved. Who knew people could breed that fast? Who knew? I suppose I should have taken the hint after the flood, but never mind. George Bush or the George Bush Jr.? Yeah, no, both of them were terrible. I think Bush Jr. was probably worse. I mean, they were both really terrible, mate. We don't associate our Bush with the Bushes. Thank you very much. No, absolutely not. One would think if God is all-powerful, he could have at least presented himself in a PowerPoint presentation like 6,000 years before computers existed, but no. Maybe the burning bush was the ancient PowerPoint presentation. You don't know. You don't know. Kind of weird. Well, yeah, but you'd think he would have told Moses the whole plan, but apparently sort of letting the people involved in the plan, what the plan is, isn't one of God's strong suits. So I don't know who's the worst manager, whether it is the Pharaoh or whether it is Yahweh. And I'm thinking Yahweh, because at least Pharaoh told people what he was doing so they could, you know, follow along or take action or do what he wanted. You know, like the worst manager is one that doesn't tell you at all what's going on. Oh, we're doing this? Why? Nobody knows. Nobody knows what the intentions are. There's a reason why we have meetings, people. I would argue that PowerPoint presentations are the clearest evidence we're in a godless unit. How dare you? How dare you, noise? All right, that deserves a bonk. I will use PowerPoint presentations in my debate, and I will not apologize for it because I find that it helps explain things. How dare you, sir? How dare you impugn my PowerPoint presentations? Why is it not attacking noise ending? Okay. It did not select your name automatically. All right, things are a bit weird on my end. Things are being a bit weird. Boop. Hey, resist oppression. Cool. Yeah, I agree. Oppression. It's very weird, the kind of level of oppression that we're seeing in the US right now. Just as an aside, it's very weird. It's really weird to have these people who are like, you know, fight against tyranny, but, you know, the government's gonna, you know, have small government, and then they're all for like the government coming in and like getting in between a doctor and a woman, you know, in regards to her health. I'm sorry, that you must have a different definition of small government. You know, like when you're actually deciding what's best for people in terms of their healthcare. I'm sorry, you must have a completely different idea of what big government is than me, because when somebody is coming in and saying, hey, morally it's not right that you have this treatment because it's against our religion, yeah, that's an overreach of government. Look, I was watching, I saw a John Oliver thing this morning, right? I like John Oliver, okay? I find him funny. I find his stuff relevant. I'm not going to apologize. I think he's pretty good. Pretty good. And he was talking about a woman, I can't remember which state it was, but she was forced to go on a Zoom call to a court while she was in the middle of giving labor. I wish I was making this shit up. Like, they were basically having a court because she was having a difficult labor to force her to have a C-section to preserve the rights of the child. Force her to have a C-section to preserve the rights of the child. And, like, she was 12 hours into labor on a Zoom call to the court. And she asked for counsel and representation in this court because she was in labor and the judge said she's not entitled to it. I mean, have we lost it, people? Have we just, like, what is going on here? Holy crap. Kelly says, wow, that we are reading this. This was the very verse in the issue which caused the cognitive dissonance concerning Scripture. Yeah, and it does get worse, Kelly, and I get that. I totally get that. It is a wild, like the whole Pharaoh and Israelite thing is a wild time, and I totally understand that. I think that so. A lot of people, when you enter these debates and you start to talk about, slavery in the Bible and things like that, they'll sort of say, oh, well, there's modern day slavery. But I don't think all forms are created equal. I think that I don't know whether Egyptian slavery was worse than the Israelite slavery, but it's not like, you would think that a God that rescued people from slavery would say, hey, let's stop slavery altogether, and not, hey, don't rule over one another so ruthlessly, but it's okay to enslave everybody else and pass them on to your descendants. You would think that a God would understand, hey, we've got to stop this altogether. But apparently that's not what he's doing. It's very weird. It's a very weird thing that, hey, that upon rescuing his people from slavery, instead of saying, hey, don't enslave anybody, it's wrong, it's cruel, it's inhumane, it's not good for the society, it's not good for even the people that own them, it is a bad thing all round. Instead, he goes, hey, purchase your slaves from the neighbors around you. If you need to beat them, if you kill them, then be punished. But if they recover after a day or two, you're good. You're good. Yeah, it's kind of a bit weird. Tommy says, my more nuanced poll response is that God and Pharaoh are the arseholes, but not necessarily everyone. Yeah, I find hard to find that, the average slave in Egypt was absolutely horrible, right? Like, because they're just doing their thing. I mean, Moses came and said, hey, I'm going to make your lives better, and then made them worse. And they didn't even do anything. Like, it wasn't like they were going forward and saying, yeah, we support this guy. Oof. My feet were the super chat goal. I was advised to keep them behind a paywall. Wow. Okay. OnlyFans. I would not show my feet on camera. I gotta say. Yes, God sent a famine, but he did plan a way for Jacob and his family to be saved from his famine by a convoluted decades of long slave trade deal. Yeah. Yep. Again, sharing the plan ahead of time might have been a good idea, So, yeah, and you've got to remember that Jacob also, Joseph also participated in a gaslighting, sort of hijinks, let's call it, to make his brothers think that they were going to be killed. Family, fun for the entire family. Threats of violence and convincing his brothers that he was going to kill them or imprison them for life. That old chestnut. Everyone laughs. It's good for the whole family. Everyone laughs. Phantom says, and of course, perhaps not doing the famine in the first place might have been a bit more straightforward, and also had less slavery. Well, yeah. Yes. You'd think that a omniscient, omnipotent, omnibenevolent God would come up with a better way to get a family to Egypt. Maybe just some plane tickets, maybe just cheap airfares and a Disney coupon. I don't know why you need to have such a convoluted plan involving slavery. Hey, if someone offered tickets for a holiday to Egypt to see the pyramids to me, I might actually take him up on that. It's a sightseeing venture. That would work for me. No, you probably wouldn't have to do a convoluted thing in slavery unless you're a warlord. Then it's okay. Well, that does seem to be the case. Yeah, you have been bonked. Yeah, be bonked. There you go, Noise. You've been bonked. Things are always a bit weird on your end, to be honest. Well, look, I saw something. So I'd met Hail Heidi. She runs sort of a reaction channel. She's an ex Mormon, I believe, and I saw one of her things like talking about why the rest of the world think that America is brainwashed, right? And she was reacting to a Holy Kool-Aid segment, and it's not like we think you're brainwashed. I think that with America, we think that a segment of your population is, and it's mostly due to sort of the American exceptionalism propaganda that's out there. This whole idea that America is the freest place on earth, and I'm really sorry if this offends you. I really am. I really think that we've got to re-examine, and this is what deconstruction is for, right? Um, it's not just for religion. It's also for examining the things that you've been told and really examining whether they are, true or not, kind of thing. Um, I really think we've got to re-examine whether or not um, things that we've been told are in fact true or not. Um, so, this whole idea of the freest country on earth, like there's no list where America makes like hugely free country on Earth kind of thing. There is no list. Um, I really think that. But then again, neither does Australia. That's the thing. Like that's the whole point. That there isn't um a lot of freedom in Australia comparatively as well. But, we're kind of aware of it, or at least most people are aware of it. I think that Australia's problem is that they've got a sort of an idea that Australia works like America. They've watched way too much TV, and they think that sort of Australia works exactly the same. So you'll have people say, "Oh, well, I want to plead the fifth in Australia," and it's like, what? No, no, it doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. So here's a list. I'll just go through this because this is interesting, right? So this is the world's most and least free countries. This is rated by the Visual Capitalist. I'm not sure who did it. It is Freedom House, right? Like so just a sort of thing like that. So Finland is the most free. New Zealand a close second, and I agree with that. New Zealand has a great amount of rights for their citizens. It's actually really good to see. Norway, Sweden, you see a lot of the more atheistic countries up here. And yeah, I guess I am sort of including Finland in there, but that's the exception. Canada, incredibly free. I hate to break it to you, but the land of the free is actually Canada, not the US in North America. I'm sorry to break it to you. Slovenia, Estonia, Japan, absolutely. Germany. Germany is now more free than America. Who knew? Australia. Yeah, followed by Austria. Hey, you rarely see those two together. Even Taiwan. Micronesia has more freedom. The UK has more freedoms, yes. And the USA is down at 81. It lost 3 points in 2025. Sharpest annual drop on record. I am not surprised, but it has never been one of the freest places in the last 25 years or so, definitely. Global freedom. Led by the Nordics, yes. How's Norway doing? Norway's doing fine. Norway's third, behind New Zealand. I should be angry New Zealand beat us. I'm not. More power to them. More power to them. So yeah. Yeah, I mean, America doesn't do bad, but hey, it's not the most free. Sorry. Sorry about that. It is what it is. It is what it is. Well, the brothers, they had it coming. Well, kind of, yeah. I get what you're saying, Kelly. I'm not sure that the crime fits the punishment, though. I don't like. So here's the thing. Um, Revenge on people might feel good. It may not be the best way to address what they have done wrong, right? Like I've had this argument with people before who say, "Hey, all um, all people that do X crime should have this happen to them," and I don't think that's a good idea. Like it may feel good to punish those that have transgressed, but if you want to stop the crime from happening, we need to do something else. Like we can't just go, well, that feels good to do. We have to say, what is the best way to prevent and to stop people from reoffending, basically. Brainwashed works or intellectually pruned, yeah. At least we don't have kangaroos jumping around strangling the family German Shepherd. That is true. That is true. Look, I'm the first to say, hey, our wildlife is insane. I gotcha. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. But I've been through this argument against somebody from America, and look, Kelly, I don't know how to put this in a better way, but yeah, we've got to worry about crocodiles and sharks and kangaroos and wombats and magpies. And look, I'm not going to go through the entire list, but I will say our children do not have to wear bulletproof backpacks to schools. Like, we haven't had a school shooting in the last 25 years at least. I don't know if we've ever had one, but America scares me, quite frankly. I would be frightened to go to America. I don't know how you guys do it. Like just go through, not like I would be scared out of my mind. I gotta say, and it's not right. It's not right. Finland doesn't count? Why doesn't Finland count? Why doesn't Finland count? Why doesn't Finland count? They're predominantly Christian, apparently. 6.1 to Finnish population. I do know that Finland is culturally Christian and largely secular. Yeah, I do know that they do have a very strong sort of freedom of religion protections in their constitution. So I know that they definitely are a secular country. More metal equals more free. Are you talking about like metal music? You could be right, actually. I know that the Scandinavians love their metal. They absolutely love their metal. Can you play the drop bear did it in Australia? That has never worked. That's never worked. I should know. Finland has the highest number of metal bands per capita. Hey, I get like there's a lot of stigma associated with metal in some circles, but hey, metalheads can be the loveliest people you ever meet. It's actually surprising, like seriously, it's you know what I mean. Like metalheads generally don't put up with bullshit, but that's okay. All you do is you just don't bullshit them. That's all right. America has a conniption when it hears metal. Yeah, I think that's a. And hey, Jason, it's good to see you, mate. I think that's a hangover from the satanic panic days where it's like, oh, metal, it's the devil's work kind of thing. I think that is a hangover from that time where metal was rebellious and satanic, and they worshipped all kinds of things. People that say that, I have to remind them that if you actually look at, say, one of the biggest metal bands, right? You have Metallica. Okay, some of their songs, okay, and I know that for a lot of people they're metal light. I hear you, okay, they still count as metal, but you know, a lot of their songs and a lot of songs of these people are more about social stuff, like For Whom the Bell Tolls, Master of Puppets, you know, that kind of stuff. It's not exactly go out and eat the babies. It's more a commentary on, you know, PTSD of soldiers and unfair social systems, you know, and the whole album, And Justice for All, you know, it really had imagery on the cover of a, you know, Madam Justice, you know, the woman with the blindfold and scales being bribed. You know, like, a lot of the stuff that they're doing isn't what you may think they're doing, right? You know, yeah, you know, they really are doing art, which is a social commentary on, you know, art is a social commentary. It's a commentary on the social status of the society or nation or whatever. That's what they're doing. Is there a country music apartheid matrix? I don't know about that one. I have no idea. I think, yeah, I don't know. I know that there's like segment of Australia where country is huge. Like, we have a Tamworth Music Festival that's like country. I've never been into country. It's never grabbed me. It's not like I hate it or anything. I just don't. I'm not thrilled. Doesn't get me. Then again, you know, I'm not a fan of rap music. It's not like I hate it. There's some songs I like. You know, it's just, it's not a genre that really appeals to me that much. That's all. Sharks, I forgot you all had Coast. All we have is Coast, Jason. Jason, all we have is Coast. We are Coast. That's all we are. That's where the population lives. Holy crap, Jason. All we've got is damn Coast. That's basically our version of a defense force, is just we've got a damn lot of coast. That's basically it. That's basically it. I gotcha. Okay, let's see how the poll went. Metal is cathartic. Yeah, wow, that didn't actually show up for me in my program here. Wow. All right, that's rude. That's rude, Jason. It's you know, and neither did it say metal is your favorite, Tommy. What's going on? Oh, look, you know, I think when I was younger and a lot more angry, I liked metal a lot more. It's not like I dislike it. It's just, I don't know. I feel like it hypes me up a bit too much and makes me a little angry. Nothing makes you angry. It just sort of brings up a time in my life where I was angry. So I think that's sort of why I'm not that into it anymore. But it's not like I dislike it. It's just, you know, it doesn't grab me the way that it used to appeal to me. I'm not sure why that is. Okay, so we got a draw between God. Well, not a draw, but God is the asshole apparently. But everyone sucks here, and I can imagine why. Yes, I can sort of see that. Hey, kind of everybody, like Pharaoh, like God, like even the people who are like, hey, you're trying to help us. Screw you for making things worse. I can kind of see that as a bit of an asshole, because at least they're trying. You know, at least Moses and Aaron are trying. Admittedly, they're just following orders blindly without asking what the hell is going on. I can't imagine an angry Mark. Oh, damn, dude. Oh, you. Hey. I used to, when I was younger, I used to have one hell of a temper, Jason. You didn't want to see me when I was angry, mate. I had one hell of a temper. I had one hell of a temper, mate. I will say that right now. I did a lot of work to work on what was causing me to be a angry young man. A lot of work on that. I think that the reason why that I come across as sort of very, very patient and very calm is because I did a lot of work on trying to address that. You know, I think that I think that, you know, there's that adage that hurt people, right? Like there is that adage, and I know it's just a saying, but there is a lot of truth to that. That if you get somebody who has been bullied and victimized and, you know, picked on and just dealt a terrible, they will go on to hurt people. And I think that people who are bullied and picked on will go on to do that to other people. It took me a lot of work to break out of that mentality kind of thing. And so I understand why you would say that, but if you knew me back then, you would absolutely go, yeah, I can imagine this guy losing his shit over anything. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and that probably was the thing that you know, some of the stuff he was saying was absolutely abhorrent. Like, that was disgusting. Wow, you know, so that I must say that was enlightening for me, STS, because I think Andrew Wilson in that debate, he revealed how the right wing of America view other countries, right, and people in other countries. They view them as slaves and tools and just inferior people to be used for the betterment of their situation. It really was interesting how they sort of saw Australian people as, hey, you should, like, for someone to sort of say outright, you should just die for our wars in our wars of conquest. Wild. Absolutely wild. But I think that is how the right wing of America see Australians. They don't see us as allies. They don't see us as, hey, here is another people who loves democracy and, you know, wants to make the world a better place or try to make the world a better place. The right wing of America sees us as peasant subordinates to be used as fodder in anything they choose to throw us into. Wild, right? Absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. All right, let's get on to the next one. We have Exodus 6. So turn to the next chapter in your Bible here. We have again, I am Yahweh. What a poster. He's here every single day posting his stuff. What a guy. What a guy. Look, he's consistent. I'll give him that. I will give him that. Am I the arsehole for promising freedom again after my first attempt made everything worse? So yeah, it's just as bad as this. So there was this group of people, the Israelites. I had promised that I would rescue them from slavery and sent these two guys, Moses and Aaron, on Aaron. I saw your comment. I saw your comment, Jason. Aaron. Look, okay, so I was talking to my wife about this skit, like, oh, it must have only been 3 or 4 days ago kind of thing. No joke, right? Because we saw this name. So the brilliance of Key and Peele, right, was that they did, like, the brilliance of that skit. You know what the brilliance of that skit was? That they were pointing out how ridiculous it is that, like, white people and the majority of people have trouble pronouncing names that are historically associated with black people, right? Or any kind of other people but white. Like Keisha, what kind of a name is that? That's a weird name, right? And they don't get it right. Like, instead of Keisha, they will say Kaisha, or something like that, right? And they will point out, oh, that's a weird name. But, like, if you think about white names, right, traditionally white, they're weird as well, right? Like, you know, like, that's the genius of what they were pointing out. That why is it that white names are seen as normal names, like Rebecca is normal, but it's not, right? Like, it's a weird name. All names are weird when you think about it. We've just strung a few syllables together and thrown it on somebody as a label. And why is it that the white ones are the normal ones, even though Aaron, they're like Aaron? Yeah, it's a weird way to spell it, right? Like, that was the genius of Key and Peele, and I love them. I think they're absolutely fantastic, the way that they're pointing out this weird thing about names where we think certain names are normal and certain names are not normal. Like, Tracy is a normal name. Why? And why is Keisha or some other name just weird? Well, it's not. It's just a name. But I loved that sketch for exactly that, for making people really, or not making people, but people, people would laugh. Oh, that he's getting the name wrong. But it's a lot deeper than that. That they're basically making a commentary on why is why is one of these kind of names that you find weird, while the normal names are normal. Why is Dwayne a normal name, right? Why is Dwayne a normal name? Dwayne. You know what I mean? Like, why is that normal? But something like DeAndre, why is that a weird name? Absolutely. Awesome. No, just that kind of commentary really gets me. Anyway, I sent these two guys. I promised I would rescue them from slavery, but I sent these two guys, Moses and Aaron, to confront Pharaoh. However, things didn't work out as well as Pharaoh responded by making their working conditions even more brutal. Yeah, he did do that, yes. The Israelites were now being forced to gather their own straw while still meeting the same brick quotas, and when they inevitably failed, they were beaten. Well, the Bible sort of says you can beat your slaves. As long as did they die in a day or two? If they didn't die in a day or two, then really the Pharaoh's done nothing wrong according to the covenant Moses made with God later in the book. So, I don't know. And here's the thing. Did Moses do anything wrong, or did Pharaoh do anything wrong if Moses hadn't gotten the law yet from God? How did Pharaoh know what the law was? Would Pharaoh have gotten anything wrong here if how did the Israelites become slaves? If they sold themselves into slavery, nothing would have been against the law of Moses. I don't know. Moses had come back to me asking why I had allowed this to happen, which is a fair question. Why had he allowed it to happen? Right? Like, why allow it to happen? Like, why can't the omnipotent God of the Israelites just basically make them leave? Well, it appears to be the answer later on, and we will get to this in the coming weeks of, well, he didn't just make it happen because he wanted to show Pharaoh how powerful he was. And to my mind, like, just basically making the Israelites leave, or in some way enforcing your will, would certainly do the job. Like, why make this big spectacle of it all? Especially since it's at the cost of the people that you're claiming to care about. I don't know why. It just seems to be a flex, an ego thing. Why does God have an ego? Why not just save his people? If he wants to throw a few plagues on the way out, do so. Why make his own people suffer? Okay, just before you misunderstand me, no, I am not advocating for plagues being thrown on the way out. I'm just saying, if you want to flex on people, why make the people that you're supposed to care about suffer first, right? It's like if somebody wanted, Like if somebody wanted their sister to leave their husband because, they're in a terrible relationship, he's bad for her, he treats her badly, he beats her or whatever, like it's just a terrible relationship. If you could just get her out of that relationship and maybe, call the police on the previous husband, yeah, that's probably the optimal way to go. Why is it that you go, well, I care about her, but I'm going to make her suffer to make a point? That is some weird idea of love. I don't understand. I don't understand it. If that was me, right, and I was the god, I would just get them out. Like just get them gone, and then deal with the abusive person later. Like the Pharaoh, you're doing the wrong thing. I will get these people away from you, and then do whatever I want to teach you a lesson or whatever. It is so wrong to make people suffer in order to teach somebody who is making them suffer a lesson. Like, what is this? It's so wild. So rather than admit my plan had started rather badly, I reassured him things were going exactly as I intended. But again, he doesn't tell Moses and Aaron what the plan actually is. So of course they don't know if the plan is going well or not, because they don't know what it is. I told Moses that Pharaoh would eventually see what I was capable of, and that I would force him to let the Israelites go. Okay, so keep in mind that before God sent Moses over to tell Pharaoh to let the Israelites go, he said to Moses, he won't let them go because I will harden his heart so he won't. So he's basically saying to them, eventually he will let them go, and I will force him. Well, he doesn't really have to force the Pharaoh to let him go. All he has to do is stop forcing the Pharaoh to keep him, right? It's not a matter of forcing the Pharaoh. It's a matter of just ceasing to force him to keep them, right? Because that's what's happening at the moment. I reminded Moses that I had appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Oh, yes, the three con men of the Old Testament. Abraham with the old sister wife scam. Isaac, who also did the sister wife scam. And Jacob, who did the let's go to Egypt scam. Absolutely. All three of them. Fantastic. I had established my covenant with them, promising their descendants would eventually inherit the land of Canaan. I also told them that I had heard the Israelites groaning under their slavery, and that I had not forgotten them. I was going to bring them out of Egypt, free them from their slavery, and make them my people. In theory it sounded good, but I hadn't actually done anything yet to bring this about. Yeah, so, okay, well, just do so. He's basically saying, hey, I'm going to do this as the all-powerful master of the entire universe, but not right now. I fail to see why not. But hey, I don't know. I don't have omniscience. I don't know how this works out in his favor. I'm not 100% sure. I told Moses to repeat all of this to the Israelites, but when he did, they wouldn't listen. They were a stiff-necked people. They were too crushed by their suffering and their harsh treatment to believe that anything was actually going to change. Yeah, because last time you said that, nothing changed. In fact, it got worse. Like, this is the thing. It's so weird that a omniscient God can't see. Like, this is a reasonable position to have, right? Like, if you are, like, in a job and you go and say, hey, I want a raise. And the employer basically goes, okay, I'm just going to give you more work. What do you think will happen next time you ask for a raise? Yeah. It's sort of that, well, God doesn't seem to understand that if you do something that leads to a eventuality, humans will go, well, doing that will lead to that. It's sort of just basic induction. You know, they basically go, hey, this is the cause and this is the effect. We think that will continue to happen. And guess what it does? So In truth, I can't say they're entirely to blame for their lack of trust. Moses told them that his intervention would free them, but just caused more suffering. They seemed to doubt another attempt would go any better. And fair enough too. Because, like, really a different tact has to be taken. What was it? Einstein said that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And sort of, so this is sort of in line with that. Like, he's doing the same thing. Moses, tell these people I will free them. Go and do this. And Moses knows ahead of time, or should know ahead of time, which is where this passage is a bit contradictory, that God will actively fight against them being freed. So Moses essentially is told by God to go and not lie to the Israelites, but at least, tell them something that isn't entirely true at that point. That he's going to intervene and they're going to be freed. But he doesn't mean they're going to, Moses is going to intervene and they're going to be freed. What is actually going to happen is Moses is going to intervene. Things will get way worse. Things will get much worse. And eventually, after a lot of pain and suffering and horrible stuff happening, they're going to be freed at the end of the day. Oh, thank you. Yep, no problem at all. Thank you. Yep. So everybody say hi. Lynn, you are gorgeous. Yeah, I know. I'm getting through this. I realize she's just reminding me I have a doctor's appointment. So, yep, I am aware. I will get through this. Yeah, not a problem at all. Thank you, baby. It's always good to see Lynn in the chat. I always miss her when I see her in the chat. But that's okay. That's okay. The burning bush was somewhat vague. Yeah, I'll go through the comments after. Sorry, Jason, that one just caught my eye, mate. That just caught my eye. Absolutely. Absolutely. It was, yeah. Yeah, I should feel good. I feel annoyed that I have a doctor's appointment, so I got to wrap this up by a certain time. But I should feel grateful that I do have healthcare, and I should feel grateful for that, and I kind of do, even though that particular doctor has been jerking me around a bit. Yeah. I have that privilege. Okay, I don't take it for granted. It is a wonderful thing to have. I know that the people who are struggling in the US have, just seeing a doctor is something they've got to weigh up against, I don't know, eating or affording electricity and stuff. And that breaks my heart, honestly. That is disgusting. It's evil. It's horrible. And it shouldn't happen. You guys should not have to decide between paying a bill and getting medical treatment for something. That is just wrong, okay? I'm right there with you. It fucking sucks, all right? It does. It's not right, especially because, and I don't want to pick on America too much, but like the amount that is spent on the military and stuff, surely you don't need to spend that much on the military and on these ridiculous wars kind of thing. Like, surely we don't need to spend X amount on cruise missiles to fire into Iran, and we can spend a bit more on, I don't know, child health and vaccinations and things. Surely. Okay, it's getting real depressing. Yeah, it's so amazing that, as depressing as the Old Testament is, it's a damn sight better than what's happening at the moment. I apologize. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. We gotta keep our chin up. It just upsets me. It does upset me. And yeah. I wish I could do something about it, but I feel I have less power than you guys. I feel like I'm a world away, like literally a world away, and it doesn't. So my feelings on America, right? Okay, so I'm going on a tangent in the chat. Okay, tangent in the chat. I used to think that America was ridiculous, stupid, full of idiotic people. You know, I really look down upon it a lot. I think that as I've met people from America, I have a completely different opinion now. I think most people in America are fucking awesome. And they are burdened by a system that is just reprehensible. Like, the people are fantastic. The people are fucking fantastic. Like, some of the most optimistic, kind-hearted, just some of the most valiant is the word I would use for it. In the face of all odds, valiant damn people I've ever met. Right? People that are dealt not just a bad hand, but a goddamn bad entire poker night, and they will still fight on with everything they've got and keep this their dreams alive. There is something just amazing about that. That is amazing, and I love it. It is fantastic. It is awesome. It is wonderful. And their system that you know, instead of helping them achieve those dreams and find everything and make them succeed for the betterment of everybody, their system rails them up, you know, just rails them against a corner. And it's just, you know, it pisses me off. It makes me sad. But my opinion of Americans has absolutely changed. Yes, you're too loud when you go overseas. You're too loud. You can be very obnoxious. But damn it if I don't love every one of you, because, well, not every American, but all of the Americans that I meet that are rational, sensible people who just want to do the best for everyone around them. Their sense of community. Look, I have a newfound appreciation of Minneapolis, right? The way they came together to fight tyranny was damn inspiring. It's inspiring, right? Like, it is absolutely inspiring. Like, just the level of support they all gave one another, the level of support they gave to the most vulnerable among them was damn inspiring. But yeah, I mean, that's something where I hadn't met a lot of Americans, and now I have. I have a complete look. You know, you should meet people from other countries and hear their perspectives. You may not agree with them, but you should hear them, because it really does open your mind meeting other people from other countries. Anyway, tangent over. Hey, I told Moses that Pharaoh would eventually see what I was capable of, and that would force him to let the Israelites go. Well, honestly, all Yahweh has to do is stop forcing him to keep the Israelites there, because that's what he told Moses he was doing ahead of time. So I can see where Moses is confused, because before this happened, Yahweh, or God, or, you know, the God of the Israelites was basically, well, I'm going to send you out there. You're going to ask them to let the Israelites go, but I'm going to harden his heart so he won't let them go. So now he's saying to Moses that, hey, go and tell him to let my people go, and eventually I'm going to force him to let them go. And that must be confusing for Moses, because the first thing to my mind is, why not just stop forcing him to keep them? Like, what is going on here? What is going on here? I don't understand. Do not understand. It's wild, right? I reminded Moses I'd appeared to Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Yep. Oh, did I already do this part? I already did this part. I do apologize. I'm going over it. But it is a good point that, hey, Moses is being told two things. Number one, he's being told, hey, I'm going to keep them there, right? And he might go, oh, God is going to keep the Israelites, make sure they stay in Egypt. That must be important. And then God's saying, well, I'm going to force the head of Egypt to let them go. it's like, wait, what do you want here? Like, what do you actually want? This must be the most, like, it almost seems like it's a, one of those situations where the general is sending out orders and the same person gets two different conflicting orders. It's so weird to understand what's going on. I feel like this is a case where you're in the military and the orders are coming and like there's two different orders from the same general with conflicting orders. Usually in that case, the lieutenant or whoever just goes with the latest ones because, of course, things change in battle. But this seems weird, right, for an omniscient god to be doing. Just weird. I told Moses to repeat that. They were too crushed. Yeah, his intervention... Moses had told them that his intervention would free them, but just caused more suffering. They seemed to doubt another attempt would go any better. Yeah, I already did that. What the hell? Have I gone backwards? Despite this, I told Moses to go back to Pharaoh and demand once again that he let the Israelites leave Egypt. Moses pointed out the Israelites hadn't listened to him, so why would the Pharaoh? That's a good point. If the Israelites won't listen to Moses, because he kind of let them down in a really big way, why would the Pharaoh, who is the for all intents and purposes, the all-powerful leader of Egypt, listen to him? If ordinary people won't, why would the powerful leader of a nation listen to him? Oh, hey, Bree. So good to see you. Welcome, welcome. Bree over at Hive Science has dropped in. So good to see you, Bree. Yeah, I'm just going through my usual thing. So good to see you. I have tried to catch your show at times. I do know I've been sort of doing things at the moment. I've been busy and dealing with some stuff, so I do apologize. I haven't been by as much. I really apologize. But amazing show. Hive Science is awesome. Always thought so. Yeah. For the swarm. For the damn swarm. Drop a link if you want. I'm always happy. Or if a mod can drop a link. Are you a mod on my channel? I have no idea. Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. Of course you are. Of course you are. Hey, native atheist. Good to see you. Good to see you, mate. Native atheist. Ladies and gentlemen. He was basically saying that, yeah, if his own people wouldn't believe him, the most powerful man in Egypt to take him seriously. Yeah. I can see how that works. It's like saying, oh, well, if the ordinary Americans don't believe me about what I'm saying, why would the President of the United States? Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. Here's the thing. Moses is a bit of a tool, don't get me wrong, but he does make some good points to ostensibly the creator of the universe and sort of point out where the creator of the universe's reasoning is kind of flawed. And it's weird that they sort of included that in the book where Moses is going, but Yahweh, this is a problem. It kind of is, yeah. And this will continue. You will see this through the story of Moses, that Yahweh will go, I'm going to do this. And Moses goes, God, is that such a, are you sure? It doesn't seem that good. Oh, better than Ember. So good to see you, Ems. Oh, so good to see you. Ugly German Truths. UGT, so good to see you as well. The internet law says whenever the title of the video is this, the answer is yes. Ooh. Is that a law? I don't think that's a law. I think that's a general guideline, right? I think that that's a good comment, because that, I get that there is a preponderance for that to be yes, because people will put the title up as, look, I'll talk about it afterwards. I'll talk about it when I get to it. I'm going to do the comments after this. I will get to it though, UGT. Don't get me wrong. You don't escape that easily. All right, you don't escape that easily just because I'm in the middle of something. Yeah, you had no reason to take him seriously. Although I could have explained the entire plan of making Pharaoh resist so I could punish him, which completely seems psychotic, to be honest with you. Like, making someone resist so you can punish them for resisting seems absolutely unhinged. It's diabolical. It's absolutely diabolical. I'll get more into that later. I didn't, and I simply told him to go and do it. Okay. From a practical perspective, the situation hadn't improved at all. The Israelites were still suffering. Pharaoh, Pharaoh was still refusing to release them. Moses was still uncertain about his ability to persuade anyone, and I was still insisting that everything would work out according to my plan. Yeah, well, as long as Aaron's on board, that's all we need, right? Of course. This is where I have to admit that I can see why people might find my behavior frustrating. Yeah, no shit. I kept telling everyone that I was going to rescue them, but I was deliberately allowing the situation to deteriorate because I wanted Pharaoh to resist me. I knew ahead of time that Pharaoh would refuse, and I also knew the Israelites would suffer. I knew Moses would struggle to convince them, yet I continued with the plan anyway because I intended to demonstrate my power through what came next. So now I'm wondering whether I'm the arsehole for asking the suffering people to keep trusting me after my first attempt at helping them made their lives worse, especially when I knew the situation would get even more difficult before I finally followed through on my promise. Was I wrong for doing this? And yeah, just as an aside, if you are making a situation worse so someone will truly suffer so you can punish the person that made you suffer, then that is reprehensible behavior, in my opinion. I will get the poll up for you charming and lovely netizens that have decided to drop in on this debacle that is the Old Testament. Was God right for continuing to allow the Israelites to suffer to demonstrate his power? Yeah, like I said, and sort of my analogy that I did use was the abusive relationship, right? You've got a family member in abusive relationship. Would it be wrong to like make the situation worse in order to to teach that person who is abusing a lesson? No, absolutely not. Like, there's a person involved who is actively suffering. Get them out of there first and then do something. Like, that's the thing. If someone is on the receiving end of abuse, get them into a safe place and then go after the person who is abusive, right? That's the thing. We want to help people before punishing people, right? Like, we want to resolve the situation. And this is true of whether you're a social worker or you're a just a friend or whoever, right? You want to the person's safety should be your highest priority, not punishing somebody else for doing something wrong. Hey, Archer, so good to see you. So good to see you. And Ember's in the house. Hey, look, drop any links that you want. I really wanna be, supportive of channels and stuff. Please do drop a link if you want. But I'll go back and while you're voting, and look, this is Australia. Voting is compulsory. It's not. It's not. I'm a liar. It's not compulsory, but I do like it when you do. Look, I'm all in favor of compulsory voting. I think it is good. It is good. I really do. I really do. Okay? I think that it is the least you can do. The least you can do as a sort of, civic duty if you live in a country and benefit from it. But, hey, that's just me. I can't enforce it, okay? I don't have the power to enforce it. Okay, there's a lot of metal talk in the chat from where I left off. Hey, that's good. I'm kind of look. I did like metal when I was younger. I kind of have weird tastes in music now. I like weird stuff. I like stuff that makes me feel things. that make me feel things I like. I like a whole range of pop and electronic stuff and electro stuff and stuff like that. Some metal I like, some I don't. You know, it's a personal thing, and that's okay. More power to you. More power to you. Let's see. Nobody asked, but Aaron's name in Hebrew is Aaron. Aaron? How do you pronounce that? Not that you can tell. Like, okay, yeah, okay, that sounded stupid. I will admit that. I'm asking someone in chat how to pronounce it when they can't actually say anything. That's about the level that I'm on this morning. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, okay? I didn't think about it. I'm going to look it up. Pronunciation. Pronunciation. How to say Aaron. Are you going to say it for me? Okay. Okay. This is how it's said, apparently.
Aaron, Hebrew.
So it's just called Aaron. So pronounced exactly the same, but it's spelt differently. Okay, well, screw me, I guess. All right, that's fine. No, I gotcha. Oh, the metal talk still goes on. Hey, go for it. Does anyone in chat know anyone named Dwayne? Well, I mean, apart from Dwayne the Rock Johnson, you mean that Dwayne the Rock Johnson? Dwayne, yeah. I mean, that's the one I was talking about. Dwayne, right? Dwayne. You know, the best is Siobhan. If you've seen Siobhan, nobody can pronounce Siobhan when it's written. It's wild. Like, that was actually, I mean, I wouldn't say it was a common name when I was growing up, but there were a couple of Siobhans around. Like, you know, Australia is one of those places that has so many different types of immigrants, especially from like Europe and stuff, that was I wouldn't say a common name, but a, you know, semi-common name. There was a couple around, Siobhans. I mean, if you've ever seen Siobhan, it's an awesome name. Yeah, that's exactly how you spell it. That's exactly how you spell it, German Truths. And people say Sibohan, and it's like, no, it's Siobhan. It's Siobhan. Amazing. I actually don't know a John Smith, though that's apparently the most generic name ever. Yeah, apparently so. I've never met a John Smith either. I think I've seen a John Smith on LinkedIn, and I'm like, oh, you poor bastard. But I haven't actually met one, you know, as it were, in the flesh. But I do know that Mark Reed, my name is so common that I worked in a company. Okay, it was the largest telecommunications company in Australia, but there were 4 Mark Reeds in my company, right? It is an incredibly common name. So do what that with you, do what you will with that. You know, I know there was one HR manager in, I believe, South Australia or something. There was a linesman, there was me, and there was I can't remember the last one. I think it was just a, you know, general manager kind of thing. I can't remember what he was. I think he might have been a technical manager or something. Some other sort of, you know, thing. But 4 of them. Exact name, exact spelling. Wild. God needs to flex more. I'm not impressed. Look, I think he needs to flex less, to be honest with you. I think he needs to, you know, if you are that powerful, why are you showing off? Like, who are you trying to impress? Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're that powerful, you don't need to impress anybody. Like, you just do stuff. I don't know why a god that is that powerful needs to flex in the slightest. Now, if you're going to say, hey, he takes just punishment on people, sure. But he doesn't need the Israelites to suffer for that. Like, why is he trying to impress them? Like, he doesn't need them. They need him, right? So why is he trying to impress them? It's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. The carrot is paradise. The stick is dying from agony. Yeah, basically. Yeah. But I mean, we're in a part of the Bible where there was no real stick, right? Like hell didn't exist as a concept in the Old Testament. It wasn't a thing. It was suffering in this life that was the stick. It was God casting plagues and stuff on people that was the stick. Jacob could make a mean soup. I don't know about that. Uh, Like he already had Esau's shit just based on his cooking. Yeah, actually, yes. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. So this is Jason alluding to the previous one where um, Esau came in all really hungry, starving, in fact, from the field, and Jacob held his sandwich hostage for all of his inheritance. Could you imagine? Could you imagine it would if that would stand up in a court of law these days? Like you go to court and the judge is like, yes, why are you not splitting your inheritance from your parents down the middle? Like, what is it that did your parent want one child to have more? And they say, yeah, he promised me his inheritance because he was really hungry and I wouldn't give him food without him promising that. Bailiff, arrest that man. Arrest that man. That is absolutely disgusting. Like seriously, that's extortion, right? You're basically saying, "Hey, give me something that is not worth this because I am going to make you suffer unless that's extortion." I'm sorry, that's just extortion. It's extortion. Hello? Hello? You'd rather have missiles than get another prostate exam? Look, they're not pleasant, I grant you. I grant you they're not pleasant. I get you. But, health is important. It really is. Minnesota is a pretty awesome state. Yeah, I think that some of the ones up north of the country I would probably visit, I guess, if things calmed the fuck down. Like, I would like to see Yellowstone and Colorado kind of thing. I've heard it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm just not sure about the people that live there. That's all. The people that live there seem a little bit unhinged. I don't know. That's probably not all of them. Don't get me wrong. But like something like Austin sounds awesome. Texas sounds horrifying. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, there's these patches of really awesome people, but surrounded by insane people, people that are insane, insanity. Just insanity. You know what I mean? Godberry, king of the juice. No, a queen of the juice. It's Goldberry. It's Goldberry. Jason says, God, I'm going to harden this guy's heart and bend the laws of reality, making the entire nation suffer until it breaks him down. Yes. All in order so the people I'm making suffer won't suffer anymore. Figure that one out if you can. Because I can't. I cannot figure that out. That is not how military strategy works. Yeah, I'm aware. But it does happen. I mean, I remember that book, Catch-22, which was a comedy book, right? It was a fantastic book. But it was kind of written by this guy who had been in the military, and he kind of found things to be absurd at times. You know what I mean? Like, some things are just absurd. Like, some of the more absurd things, like, for instance, Hegseth and his, well, let's give testosterone to the troops to give them their sperm back or something, like make them more manly. But we know that if you give testosterone, the body will up its level of estrogen and you will, this is the problem with weightlifters using steroids and stuff. If you increase testosterone production, you'll grow tits. You will, mind you, I wouldn't call him any kind of military leader. Right, yes, internet law says. So, yeah, generally, yes, I get you, UGT. I absolutely get you. But, if you've got a debate title, does morality come from God, is probably going to be my next one. No, You know what I mean? Like, the answer isn't yes. So there are exceptions to that rule. You know, there are that I think that it goes both ways. I really do. Like, should Reckless Ben be in jail, for instance? Look, I've been following the Reckless Ben thing. It is wild, and I like Reckless Ben. I'm sorry, I like him. He is doing wild stuff to show real problems in society. I think he is amazing. I think he is fearless, which is a rare commodity in today's day and age. I wouldn't do what he's doing, but he seems absolutely fearless, and I love it. If you haven't seen him, check him out. Absolutely fearless. And I think that there is room in this world for people who are fearless in righting wrongs. And he seems to be doing that. It's a weird day when some internet troublemaker and Paris Hilton are on the same page. It's a weird day. But, you know, not necessarily. I will push back against that one. We are just friends that get busy. Oh, thank you so much, Bree. You are delightful. And I always do like your stuff about cryptids. I want to watch the Australian ones. I always do. Because some of them I don't even know about. Like, seriously. I don't know about them. I don't know what that means, but it makes you want to build pylons? Pylons. Oh. Wait, is that a StarCraft reference? Is that the elusive and you know, the esoteric StarCraft reference in there? Pylon constructed. All right, I got to admit, I haven't really played StarCraft that much. I do like watching games of it with people with skill doing what they do. My favorite StarCraft player is Scarlet. She is amazing and an awesome person. I love her. She's fantastic. Constructing additional pylons. Okay. Yep. I think I'm right. Look, internet laws are basically all memes anyway. Yeah, absolutely. No, I won't disagree with that. That is true. That is 100% true. This new translate feature on YouTube is very much not helpful. Yeah, I would agree with you. It rarely ever gets what I'm saying right. Look, I thought it would translate my Australian accent. It's not to be. You know, even the AI overlords don't understand what Australians are saying. I get you. I'm joking, Joe. I know it's not for me, but yeah, I think there's a few things that are not very. I think YouTube for mobile is absolute garbage. I had to go onto mobile to do something on my account, and it was absolutely. I felt like vomiting blood onto the screen. It was absolutely freaking terrible. Like, I don't know who is supposed to be using this on mobile. Like, it is absolute disaster. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm just anti-mobile. I don't know. I found it to be absolutely unusable. But I haven't done much on the translation stuff, I must admit. It also feels like such a waste as there are hordes of people willing to resist Yahweh's chosen Israelites later on. Why force Pharaoh instead of just wait for the right opposer? Well, there is something to that, UGT. There is something to that because, you know, we know from historical records, you know, from what the Egyptians wrote, from what the cultural transfer was, from the architecture, from all tons of things, that there was no large population of Israelites enslaved in Egypt. But there was a vassalization of the Canaanites, which included the Israelites, right? Like all of the Canaanite lands by Egypt. But this is about the time where the Assyrians are starting to get rambunctious, let's say. So the Israelites may have broken free because there were other civilizations in the area that posed much more of a threat to Egypt in its decline than the Canaanites, right? So, but, you know, having said that, the Assyrians didn't exactly do the Israelites any favors, and they kind of, you know, just ground them into the dirt on their way past. So it's a good point. It's a really good point that yeah, why force the issue on a great nation when if you bide your time, that nation will have points of weakness where you can force the issue a lot better. Yeah, good point. And that's probably what happened. But it's also the case that another rising nation in that time may not go, oh well, you're an ex-vassal of this people we don't like. Let's treat you well. The Babylonians didn't treat them well. The Persians came along and actually did. They did treat them well. But the Assyrians, the Assyrians and the Babylonians didn't exactly treat the Israelites and the Canaanites in general very well at all. Very well at all. Yahweh is such a punk ass? You said it. Look, he seems to have the worst ideas. I just, I find it hard to believe that an omniscient God would come up with this plan and think it's a good plan. It's just wild. Hey Seth, so good to see you, mate. So good to see you. Does Australia have compulsory literacy? I mean, school is compulsory. I think there is a tendency towards, like, one of the things that concerns me is a tendency towards private schooling, and like private schooling having a curriculum that doesn't follow what the nation expects from them, or homeschooling where they don't really get an education at all, right? Those two things are concerning. I think that the government is aware of that. I think they're doing steps to sort of change it. There is sort of, even private schools have to like follow a curriculum. I think the danger is that when you start to allow anybody to create a school and determine the curriculum, the education always is really lacking, just obnoxiously lacking. Compulsory literacy, but no, it does not. It does not. Voting should be a two-stage process. First round, you demonstrate that you understand civics at all. Second round, contribute to the selection of the government. No, I completely disagree, UGT. I completely disagree. I think that compulsory voting, because the problem comes that everybody is going to be affected by the outcome of those elections. If anybody says, hey, politics don't matter, they just don't matter, they don't affect your life, that person is high. Now, I understand when people say, hey, you have no influence over government. Okay, I understand where that's coming from, because it definitely can feel like that. And the individual may have so little influence over it, it's almost nothing, but populations at large do, right? And so I completely understand where they're coming from. But to say politics don't, affect you is absolutely wrong. It's absolutely wrong. They do. Whether you participate or not, it does affect you. They set taxes, they set cost of tariffs and surcharges, they set speed limits, everything. It always affects you. So from my perspective, I think that in order to maintain the social contract, if you are a stakeholder in what those outcomes are, if legislation affects you, you are a stakeholder. And because it affects everybody, the only fair thing to have everybody have a right to vote. Okay, I'm not 100% saying, hey, you should be, but a right to vote, because you are a stakeholder in how that legislation comes out. Now, the social contract basically says that we give up some of our freedoms in exchange for protection and representation from our leaders. Okay, so if somebody is living in a country and paying taxes and they are not represented, then that breaks the social contract. Okay, so if you want to stick to this under the social contract theory, which really, as far as I'm concerned, is the best proposed way to stop people from doing violent rebellion, right? Giving people influence on politics is the best way to stop violent rebellion when things get bad, because they feel that they can do something about it, or they can do something about it. Even if it's difficult, they can non-violently change the government. If you are going to do that, then under this system, you would have to stop taxing people, and you would have to really stop expecting them to adhere to certain laws that constrict their freedom unnecessarily, right? Like we have these sort of laws laid down that take our freedoms away, with the expectation that we have some even tiny measure of control over how they are determined. So if somebody is going to tell me that I can't whistle and walk at the same time, I should have some kind of influence, even if it's the tiniest influence, some kind of influence over that being made. That is the whole theory. That's the social contract. Carl. Yeah, Carl. That sounded extremely English in enunciation. Well, I am. Some people do think I'm English. I think that it is because, while I do have an Australian accent, a horrendous Australian accent, I think that I take care to enunciate when I'm talking to people that may not sort of. This is something I've done all my life, because I've worked on phones to sort of give information to them in IT. So you have to be able to speak to all kinds of people, all kinds of backgrounds, all kinds of accents, all kinds of, other countries they've come from. So I try to have a voice that is enunciated and clear, or else people won't understand what the fuck I'm saying, mate. Siobhan is your girlfriend's name. Nice. I love Siobhan. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. Just Celtic obstinousness. They could have already used existing phonemes, but they made up all those rules, how a weird combination of letters pronounced. Like the Ionian is the same as Evan or John. Yeah, no, I get you, but that comes from Gaelic and Celtic. It's not like they were speaking English and then made that up. It comes from an earlier language. English is a very recent language, all things considered. I mean, the Romantic languages, Spanish, French, sort of, I mean, they don't predate English, but they sort of were formed at the same time. With Latin being way older, and Latin being around the same time that Gaelic and Celtic were being spoken. So, yeah, I don't think it's that they just were trying to be difficult. I think they just had a different language that they incorporated. God couldn't possibly flex less. Yeah, no, I'm aware. And it's weird that they sort of say that morality comes from God, and that Jesus wants you to be humble, but God isn't humble, right? God is like, God will flex. Hello, registered Sunny enthusiast for $5 Leia, pronounced Ladasha. I'm not sure what that's in relation to. I might have mispronounced something. It's entirely possible. Spare the Stig, waste the Top Gear. Look, that was quite a good show just because of the bumbling idiots that did it. I know that the main guy, the guy that got really famous. But thank you for the $5, by the way, Registered Sunny. I'm not sure I mentioned that. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Ladasha. I'm not sure what that was in relation to, so do let me know. I think that they didn't treat Stig very well. That was the driver, who was a professional race car driver who wasn't allowed to show his face. So he felt like they were making money off of their notoriety. And he couldn't make money off his. Which was, I feel bad for the guy. I really do. I wonder how, I mean, I know they had a thing about, oh, it was an unnamed masked driver, but would it really have ruined the show if he just did some stuff with his face on it? I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of the show because I'm not that into cars, I'm afraid. So I don't know. Maybe it would have, maybe it wouldn't have. I kind of feel bad for the guy. On one hand, it was a really good sandwich. On the other hand, Esau inherited a hill covered in sand. Look, okay, so update. I might have said this in a member stream. We were talking about Reubens, right? Actually, I think it was this stream because there was a guy called Reuben. I had a Reuben over the weekend, right? I had a Reuben. I'd never had a Reuben. It's not a big thing in Australia. I was in this cafe and they had, a Reuben sandwich. And I'm like, huh. My chat told me about Reubens and they said it was amazing. Look, chat, I gotta say, it wasn't amazing. Okay, it was fucking incredible. It was just incredible. How dare they hide this from me? Reuben sandwiches. Oh my. Who made this up? And why don't they have some sort of award? Okay, this was a sandwich from the gods themselves. I swear. Like, I want to thank all of you in chat for telling me how good the Reuben is. It wasn't good. It was fucking amazing. It was fucking great. Like, how dare you undermine the Reuben by saying it was a really good sandwich? It was awesome. Like, now I have a Reuben, I see what you guys were talking about. It was if Jacob did steal Esau's birthright with a sandwich, it would have been a Reuben. Okay, it would have been a Reuben. I think Reuben was Jacob's brother, but holy crap, it was good. That was so good, it should have been called a Jacob. I swear, it was so good. Like the sauerkraut, the pickle in it, the cheese in it. Oh man. Wild, right? Just wildly good. It was a bowl of lentil soup. I don't think they mentioned what kind of soup it was. What's your favourite soup out there, chap? German Truths, what's your favourite soup? I think mine's mushroom soup. I've got this fungus thing. And I don't mean like on my ass or anything. I mean, I like mushroom. I really do. I think my favourite might be mushroom soup. I like its earthiness. It brings me close to the planet. I don't know why. I like it. I'd be using mystique powers. Why not? Absolutely. Why not? I heard that Jennifer Lawrence didn't do mystique powers in the later sort of movies because she was sick of the blue makeup. I can't say I blame her. It looks wild, right? Mind you, she's being paid enough to do it, just seriously. Is Mark describing Texas now or Australia? Both. Absolutely both. Like, I always say that Western Australia, where I live, is like the Texas of Australia. We do a lot of mining and there's a lot of, agricultural stuff. And every so often we want to secede from the rest of Australia. That's basically Texas. It's Texas without the guns. That's basically it. They would love your British accent in Texas. Okay, fair enough. I can't say that I'm a fan of the Texas accent. I can't say I'm a fan. I've heard better American accents. I have. What are they? The Texas drawl? It's not bad. It's okay, I guess. I think I've heard better. I like Joe's better than the Texas accent. I won't lie. The Kentucky accent. As I said about the Third Reich, The Banality of Evil. Yeah, that was an amazing book too. War is absurd in every aspect except projecting power if you have any to project. Yeah. Well, The Banality of Evil was about how people would do these horrible things and it was just a job to them. It was just ordinary work. Like the guy it was written about was a SS officer who basically in the Nuremberg trials, the writer of the book sort of interviewed him expecting to find this monster, and they found a family man who was upright in his community. Very, very stable, empathetic person towards others, just an ordinary person who was doing a job for the government that they support. It was just the guy was so mundane in his normalness. And that's the wild thing. And that's what we've got to be aware of. That, as Noam Chomsky sort of said, we're all capable of being saints and gas chamber attendants under the right circumstances. And we've got to be aware of that. Like, that if you are sucked into an ideology, that if that ideology starts to promote immoral things, you've got to snap out of it. You've got to see the problems with it. You can't just go along with it because it is the one you follow. We've got to use critical thinking and be aware that even if an ideology follows what we want, we have to still think about what is right and what is wrong, independent from what they're telling us. Do you mean the Lego story or something else? So not only the Lego story, I mean, that is fascinating in and of itself, UGT. That is fascinating, right? And it's not just that, but also lately he infiltrated a correctional school for young teenagers in the US. I think it was the Provo school, and sort of exposed just how much of a disaster it is. And that was incredible, right? Because he basically, and it is a school that Paris Hilton got sent to for being a bad person kind of thing. And she is spoken out against as being basically torture for kids. A correctional school, like one where you send your child to be corrected. And how he got in there was he pretended to be a 17-year-old. He's 30-something. He pretended to be a 17-year-old suffering from being the gay, which is just insane. That is what they are doing. So, yeah, well done to him. Paris Hilton would be a more effective Secretary of Defense. Yeah, probably. Nerd, and proud of it. I will reclaim that. I will wear that as a badge of honor, Jason. A badge of freaking honor, mate. I almost exclusively use YouTube on mobile. Look, maybe it's an acquired taste. I don't know. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I don't think there's educational requirements of voting here. Yeah, okay, so there is a tendency to go that way, to go, okay, well, only the educated, only the rich, only this segment of the population. But that is ignoring that the decisions that you are making are affecting everybody in the country. So how can you expect them to go along with your decisions if they haven't had any input? It's like, having a meeting, say two of your employer and another person having a meeting deciding your fate. Shouldn't you be involved in it somewhere, right? Like, shouldn't you be involved in that process somewhere? That is where you get people hating what happens in their country when they don't have a say, at least even a tiny say, in what is going on. And I think it's very dangerous. That's why I'm all for universal suffrage, because people that are not afforded an opportunity to have a say in how their lives play out will resent their government like a lot. So I think it is really important. That's just my opinion. You can disagree. I think it's fair from different angles. If you allow private schools just make up their own curriculum, you end up with people potentially so incapable to function in society they can't get a job. Well, yes. And look, there's a whole nother conversation I won't open up about, whether schools are there to educate or schools are there to prepare for workforce, right? Like, there's a conversation to be had there. And I totally agree with you. I get you. But, we've got to be practical about this. People need jobs. That's the way it is. And, I get what I get that that's a problem, but, I think that there are I think that there are people that have been homeschooled that are fantastic. I think that there are people that have been homeschooled and they're terrible. It's not, it has to be consistent. And for that, you need some kind of overarching curriculum expectation from an authority. Now, which authority is that going to be? Well, it shouldn't be a freaking church. I'll tell you that right now. So I think the government is the only real way to go about it, to have, a basic curriculum for everybody. That's America all day. Colleges take tuition money and turn out kids who don't know shit from Shinola. Yeah, I get you. Expecting a voter to know how the state works, the lowest possible threshold you should expect. We should demand of foreigners wanting to get citizenship, and it should be valid for native-born Persians too. Well, I think that sort of, civics lessons, not a bad thing. I get you. I think that schools should do that. Forcing people who are already adults, I don't know if that's going to work. You're really expecting people to, because the whole thing about if you're going to make voting compulsory, you can't make it hard for them. You can't make it burdensome on them. If you expect people to participate in civic engagement, you can't make it a chore, or else they won't participate. Right? And that's the strategy of currently what they are doing. They're making it difficult for people to do their civic duty. It's not good. The Ten Commandments is curriculum in some states. Yeah, it's getting bad over there. I don't, the Ten Commandments is absolutely terrible to any secular state. To start with, I am the Lord your God, you shall have no other God before me, is a terrible start to any moral system. It's terrible. It can work fantastically if you have engaged and well-educated parents that keep to a sensible curriculum, or it gives you flowers to... Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yes. That sounded English, was the Aaron reading lady. Gotcha. Yeah, no, look, a lot of people can't tell the difference between English and Australian. I get it. It's fine. I can't tell the difference between, Norwegian and Swedish a lot of the time. So, and New Zealand and Australian are very similar. I don't take offense. I may pretend to take offense, but I don't. I understand how people sort of thing. I'm going to skip a little bit. Because I do have a doctor's appointment. I do apologize. It just, I've been trying to pin this guy down for so long. I can't miss it. I can't. As long as this Reuben consented to you having him, yes, the sandwich always consents. We did it. Yes, you absolutely did. Look, I will admit when chat is right. I know I give chat a lot of shit. I do. I find it fun. Look, I do, but you are absolutely right. I will swallow my pride, which is apparently something that God does not do, and admit that you guys were absolutely right. It was so good. It was amazing. Now, in return, Americans, you have to get decent coffee. Okay, I can't stress enough how bad I've heard your coffee is. The Americano, what the hell is that? Seriously, that is a terrible coffee. Okay, you need to go and have a proper Italian cappuccino, right? A proper Italian cappuccino. Oh, it is good. It is so good. It is amazing. Okay, just amazing. Okay, and bonus points if you can get some Tim Tams in that sucker. All the Australians in chat will know what I'm talking about. The Tim Tam Slam. Oh my lord. No, Reuben was the 12 sons of Jacob. Didn't I say Jacob? Was it Israel? Was it Yeah, that's what I said. Didn't I say Jacob? Or did I say that Jacob was his brother, which would have been a son of Isaac? Was Reuben the son of firstborn son of Jacob? No, you're right. Absolutely. Okay, so I may have said that he was a son of Isaac. No, he was a son of Jacob. No, that's fair. Goulash soup, beef, onions, mushrooms. Nice, nice. Split pea soup, also good, also good. As long as it's got like bacon in it, I'm with it a little bit. It's not my favorite, I must admit, but it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. Oh, hey Tori, so good to see you. So good to see you. Thank you so much for contacting me on Discord, Tori. I really appreciate it. I did shoot an email off for contact. You'll know what I'm talking about. I really miss that guy. Mushroom soup is so good, but favorite is garlic bread, turkey melt sandwiches with extra pickle. Well, yeah, but we're talking about soup, Ember. Like, what's your favorite soup? You know, I will not argue that turkey bread melt is a damn good sandwich. I will not argue that, okay? I'm not insane, but it is not, in fact, a soup. I will argue that, okay? Maybe if you dunk it in soup, it can be soup adjacent, but it is not a soup. It is not a soup, okay? French onion soup is not bad. New England clam chowder. Yeah, see, I'm not a big fan of seafood soup like clam chowder. I'm not a big fan of it. Maybe I haven't had really good, because obviously I've never been to New England or in America. Maybe they make it better, but the clam chowder that I had was not great. So maybe that is it's like when you go and you get a Chinese dish from English people, right? It's never as well. It's rarely as good. I won't say it's never, but it's rarely as good. Clam chowder on a cold day is divine. Okay, a lot of people with clam chowder. Creamy chicken and dumpling soup. I was talking about dumplings the other day. Right, dumplings. Dumplings are great. Are you talking about the English dumplings? Like proper English dumplings? I was talking about that. English dumplings. Oh my lord, are they good. But I must say, I prefer dumplings in stew rather than soup. Right? A good hearty stew with dumplings that make your arteries just give up and scream just by looking at them. Because English dumplings have suet in, which is basically lard. They are really bad for you and so good. So good. Clam chowder in a sourdough bread bowl. Damn. Okay, clam chowder's getting a lot. I might have to revisit this clam chowder thing, but I must get it from someplace that's good. I think Moncton are surrounded by crazies. Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. Look, you go out of Perth in any direction and you're going to find some specimens, my friend. Look, Perth is like an oasis of reasonableness in a weird-ass place. Look, I'm not oblivious to what Western Australia is. It is a weird-ass place. Actually, even Perth is a weird-ass place. Look, you come here, right? The first thing that will absolutely baffle you is that by 8 o'clock at night, the city's dead. Right? The city is dead at 8 o'clock at night. You will not find people out anywhere. People have gone home. Like, they call New York the city that never sleeps. Perth is the city that never wakes up. Okay? It's comatose. Or at least deeply asleep. Like, it just doesn't... It is so laid back that its nightlife is almost non-existent. It does exist, but, you won't find it much at all. It's wild. I just explained to Siobhan that you are from the old prison colony. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Bree. You're not wrong. And proud of it. Proud of it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Wonton soup? Mmm. Oh, I do like a good miso as well. Anyone here like a miso soup? I think miso's awesome. The seaweed, the salty sort of dishwater. Yeah, I know it's not the best consistency, but it's good. Some sushi with some miso soup. I am making myself hungry. I've seen some documentaries on the troubled teen industry, and they're all criminals, not the teens, the people who operate them. Yeah, and that seems to be the case. It's absolutely shocking. My favourite soup is a recipe that Grandma made that's effectively chicken pot pie in soup form? Damn, that sounds good, Tori. Damn. Chicken and dumpling soup does, yeah. Yep. Nice. The South Australian accent always throws me off. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Americano is just espresso and water. Yeah, I get you. I get you. Tommy, go get yourself a latte, get yourself a cappuccino, get yourself something that is actually a good coffee, like seriously. No, Italian criminal prosecution list. Look, the only Italians that disagree with the Tim Tam Slam is Italians that have never done it. Okay, that have never done it. Okay, if they had done it, they would just go, yep, we see your point. Okay, it is insanely good. It is one of the best things ever. I'm not even joking. I'm not even joking. Oh, thanks, Tori. You're amazing. Thank you so much. Maybe the bad seafood soups are what led to Ken Ham. He's from Cairns, after all. He is from Cairns. Yes, but I doubt it's Australian seafood soup. I'd say it's the weird ass population of Queensland, to be honest with you. Is there a culture that does not have dumplings? And that's a good question. But so here's the thing: every culture has dumplings. They're all different. That's the wonderful thing about dumplings, right? Like, so when Chinese sort of have dumplings, it's like wontons. It's different dumplings than Irish and English dumplings are different than Irish. And like the Eastern European dumplings are different still. They sort of more do pierogi and stuff. Like, I love that they're all different and still kind of the same thing. You know, it reminds me that people all around the world, they have different morals, but essentially they want the same things. You know, this, like, overall, people are the same, but different, but same. You know, like, it's absolutely awesome. I love it. We say fold up the sidewalks. Oh, look, I don't think the sidewalks ever fold out. No, they do. They do. It's just, you know, get a full body latte. Oh, no worries, Tommy. No worries, mate. It's just, like, I went to Japan and they have the worst coffee. Like, I had to go to a Starbucks. I went to a Starbucks and that hurt. Okay? That hurt. That was the best coffee I could find at Japan was a fucking Starbucks. That's an atrocity. That should be criminal. Starbucks is terrible. Absolutely terrible. And that's the best I could find. I'm sorry. No, that's a fail. That's a fail. That's a fail. It's like beer, bread, Sunday roast. Basically, everyone has similar things. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And I do like it, yeah. It's weird, though. Australia... So, what is Australian cuisine? We don't really have any. We steal it from everybody else. Yeah, I said it. We steal it. Okay, so Australia doesn't really have its own cuisine. There's bits and pieces that we do. We have Vegemite. We have Lamingtons. We have Pavlova, I think, was an Australian invention. There's some Australian inventions or, you know, dishes, but there's no real cuisine. We basically have everybody's because our history has been everybody comes to Australia, everybody brings their stuff, everybody tastes it and says this is good, and then we get the best from everybody, which is awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. That is amazing. I love that in my city you can go out for Chinese, you can go out for German, you can go for Lebanese if you want. I went to a Nepalese place the other week. Nepalese. I love that. That is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. Absolutely amazing. Look, people who argue against multiculturalism have never gone to a Sunday markets where they're having like a World Food Expo, where, all of these different people from all different cultures who all live in this country are all doing their food. There's nothing like it. Is incredible. One week you might get a kebab from some kind of Macedonian dude who is making garlic aioli of the gods, and the next day you're having a Vietnamese warm meat salad that is just insane, and a salad has no right to be that good. Like, seriously, it is fantastic. Embrace it. It's awesome. It is awesome. Absolutely awesome. I love it. I absolutely love it. But that's me. I feel like it just makes everything richer, more vibrant. I love it. And the poll says God is the arsehole. Congratulations. And yeah, I think so too. I think any God that makes his people suffer in order to make a performance out of being powerful so he can punish somebody that he made do something, yeah, that's a dick move. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It is a dick move. If I made you hurt somebody and then sort of kept that person with you in order so I could punish you to show everybody just how strong I was, that's a monster. I would be a monster. Yeah, right on, Tommy. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. Curry's good. I don't mind a medium curry when it gets insanely hot. Like there's sort of curry comes in sort of two main areas in India. There's from the northern area, which is usually hot AF, and from the southern part of India, which is usually a lot more mild in its sort of seasoning. I don't mind a medium curry. I don't like the incredibly hot ones, but curry's amazing. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love satay. Satay's awesome. I like Thai food. Pad Thai is incredible if you like peanuts. If you've got a peanut allergy, I'm so sorry. God hates you and does not want you to taste Pad Thai. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know what to do about that. Blame God. Blame God. So yeah, this has been awesome, and thank you so much. I wish I didn't have to go, but as I said, I do have an appointment that I do have to make. But much love to everybody. This has been awesome. I've really enjoyed it. I love talking about food. I love sharing food. If you do have food to share, drop into my Discord and share it. I like to see it. I feel like I don't cook enough stuff that is interesting enough. Maybe I do. Maybe I should post food there. I don't know if you want to see it or not. I mostly make, these days, because I'm trying to stretch things, I kind of make, spaghetti bolognese and pastas thrown together and, just certain things that'll last because, I'm kind of trying to save some money. And so things have been tight. So I have sort of been throwing together, my wife's family calls it ration food, just stuff that goes a long way kind of thing, but that is no excuse for what I heard the other day. My wife's family is English and they were around as kids during the Blitz. Okay, so they went through the Blitz. So they have this, and if you don't know what the Blitz is, the Blitz was when the population of England, London, all the major cities had to dig in and go through the bombing by the Germans, right? The Germans would bomb them. They would basically clamber out of the rubble each morning and clean the place up, which was insane, right? That's insane. But they have foods from then which are basically like rations. Okay, so toad in the hole, right? Yorkshire pudding and sausages, it is basically ration food. They have biscuits, which are basically rations, right? They have all of these foods which are basically rations. And I don't mind them. I think they're Some of them are really nice comfort foods. They go a long way. But, you know, I think that anybody that puts water into their pasta sauce to make it go further, it's a crime. Okay, that's a crime. All right, tomatoes already got water in it. You don't need to add water. Okay, that's a crime. If you want to bulk out your pasta sauce, you choose the appropriate vegetables, right? Like you choose, you know, if you're making some kind of bolognese, you put mushrooms, you put bell peppers, you put more onion in it, you put stuff in it to fill it out. You don't put water in it. Okay, that is a crime. Okay, that's cruel and unusual punishment as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So what really pisses me off is there are influencers in America who are trying to say that Ukraine is their enemy. That is such a load of BS. You know, I think that the Tim Pools, the Andrew Wilsons, they're trying to say that Russia's right, Ukraine is an evil country. What a load of crap. Like, seriously. Slava Ukraine. I think that they are awesome. Add lentils. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got it. Yeah, aren't your nose. Yeah, absolutely. Don't water down your sauce. Add vegetables to give it more flavor, or, you know, legumes, or what you know, just look up what goes with the sauce and fill it out that way. You don't need to add water. That's kind of silly, because all you'll do is make more of a terrible tasting thing. And, you know, a lot of these stuff that you do, like if you learn to cook, there's all tons of recipes that are, you know, really good tasting home food, like just food that is just nice to eat. It's not expensive. You know, go for that kind of stuff. A lot of restaurants are doing, you know, these really simple meals that are just good food. I think that a lot of restaurants get lost in the sauce and they make these horrible stuff that, you know, like, seriously, a good burger can outdo, you know, some exquisite restaurant any day of the week. It's just good food. Good food is good food. As long as it's fresh, as long as it's well cooked, it's good. Yeah, nice, Tommy. Yeah. Yeah, a bunch of rice. Yep, ground beef, peppers, onions, salsa, half the spice rack. Yeah, it goes a long time. Yeah, I mean, my go-to, I will go to rice. My go-to is generally pasta, though. Generally pasta. Just because it goes a long way and goes with so much. But thank you for joining me, everybody. I've had a blast, so thank you so much for being here. It has been awesome. Had a fantastic time. Covered a lot of topics. Embarrassed myself more than once. It's all fantastic. I love it. I do have a debate coming up. It will be against Jay. I just have to get the link from the guys. Hopefully they will send that through. So this is going to be on again on Skeptic Haven. They are branching out with more and more debates, and I am all for it. I will. Yeah, I'm not killing myself, but I am putting in huge efforts to try and get them to do debates and get a debate channel where civil, intelligent, passionate debate happens and not complete dumpster fires. You know, I saw there was a debate between Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens, and I'm not even sure I want to watch that. I'm not sure I can watch that. That seems like a nightmare. It seems like an absolute nightmare. Like, if I don't know. I think I do know which is worse, but, you know, neither is great. Neither is great. No. It's a guy called CJ. He's been around the scene for a long time, and the interactions that I've had with him have been quite reasonable. He's very reasonable. He's been on Standing for Truth a fair bit. I think his channel's called the Synagogue or something, Cynic-gog or something, Cynic-gog. He seems pretty reasonable, seems pretty respectful. He seems like a decent person. So I want to sort of have these debates where, people challenge me, but aren't just, calling me names to my face or, telling me that I should die for their country or stuff like that, like just reasonable debate without the bull BS kind of thing. No, I'd like to debate Jay Pasic, but it's not Jay Pasic. It's a Christian, because it's going to be on does morality come from God? Of course, I'm the negative, he's the affirmative. Jay Pasic would not debate me on that, because Jay Pasic is probably on the same page. Look, I like Jay Pasic, I really do. But this guy seems reasonable, and the problem with having theology and philosophy debates, especially centered around these sort of metaphysical questions, is that it's difficult to find Christians. Like, I know a ton of atheists willing to debate. I know a ton of them. They're all around the place, and they're fantastic. People like a Godless Engineer. John's absolutely fantastic, and Ember debates. Objective ethics debates. Like, there's tons of them. The problem is getting Christians who are not toxic and will not get your channel put on a list from the way they debate. That's the problem. So that is something that I want to try and at least solve by finding some reasonable people. Look, yeah, I get you. It's just like, I do have to give him credit for running a pretty fair channel as far as debates go and moderation goes. Okay, I've been on there. I've felt that the moderation is neutral, or at least one of the better ones as far as Christian channels are concerned. I found it's been pretty good, right? Like, not perfect. No one can be perfect, but pretty good. So I will give him credit for that. What I don't give him credit for is sort of misrepresenting scientific papers. Don't get me wrong, I think that's atrocious. But as far as a debate channel goes, you have to give him credit for running it well. You have to give him credit for running it well. Interestingly enough, he won't debate me, which is always frustrating, because I do want to debate Donnie. Yes, yeah, I'm aware. Yes, I'm aware. And I've wanted to debate him on that very topic, which is ERVs, endogenous retroviruses. But he won't debate me. He will not debate me. He won't actually take the debate from me. Now, don't go and hassle him. I don't want anyone to hassle anybody, but, that has been an outstanding offer to debate him for ages now. And he makes a joke of it and says, oh, you're the final boss kind of thing. But he still will not debate me at all, which is kind of telling in my opinion. So yeah, I know all of that. Anyway, I got to go. So thank you so much, everybody. Do take care. Thank you to number one, standing for, Stop the Stupidity, sent in those readerships. Thank you so much. And also, I would like to thank, where is it? He was here a second ago. Registered Sunny Enthusiast. Thank you so much. They really appreciate it. But do take care. Don't forget, be kind to yourself. If you're feeling overworked, take a break. If you're feeling stressed, take a break. I do need to make this doctor's appointment, and that is good for me, so I'll be kind to myself. But I really do want to hang out. But hey, life happens, It does happen. And be kind to others. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
To what new horizons can we look now? Where are tomorrow's opportunities? The frontiers of the future are not on any map. But now, what's ahead of us?